Hello, welcome to the Lucky Hit Podcast, number 82 on the 5th of August 2020.
82.
Yeah, first one of August as well.
82, take two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to cut the start of this, but basically I started and it was just me talking. But anyway, I'm the Gagaman.
I'm CherryT.
I'm ShelvedGamer.
And I'm Hunk Thunder.
And unfortunately, we don't have Elk this week because he's had a power cut at his house, and it's been going on for the last, 24 hours or so. And he was hoping that it would be back to normal by now, but unfortunately not. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame because I think this is actually the first one he's missed out on since he's joined us on these.
I believe so.
Yeah, so it's just the four of us this week. But we have the return of ShelvedGamer. He's back after a few weeks. And yeah, I guess we shall start this thing how we always start these things, with what we've been playing. I don't know, let's go first.
Yeah, I guess I'll go first then, because I haven't been on for a while. Okay, so I got my physical editions of the Darius games, so I've been playing those, the console and arcade ones. So I don't know how many people here have played Darius much.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yep.
I think after putting a decent amount of time into Darius, I think what I could say is it's a game that's a lot of style over substance. Not that they're bad; they are they're fairly decent games, and they have some interesting quirks. But I do think they are very much gimmick based. And
I get what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's less true as the series went on. I think once you get to like Darius Gaiden and the Darius Darius Plus, is it the new one?
No,
not Darius. Darius Burst, that's it. Darius Plus on PC Engine. It's less sort of that. But I've been enjoying them. They've been bloody hard. I can't seem to have finished them even on the easiest route. But I think it's just because they're very punishing. Like all shmups are punishing when you die. Really, even Gradius is really punishing, but you feel like you can kind of weasel out of it when you die in those games. Whereas in Gradius, but with Darius, you kind of feel like you have to just hit restart, really, because the enemies just take too many hits, and you just don't have the firepower anymore. So, but I've been enjoying them all the same.
How do they go about the ports for the first two games, since they were like super wide? Like triple screen games, how have they approached that on the Switch?
Very small. So it's a very small screen. I actually played it mostly in undocked mode. So
in handheld.
It was so it was a very small screen.
Wow. Can you even see the bullets when it's that small, or
just about? Yeah.
Does it have any kind of zoom in and out stuff?
Yeah, I mean you got pixel perfect, and you got fit to screen. And you've got and sort of like a fill the screen, fit to screen. Fill to screen doesn't work very well because it essentially just cuts off the other monitors.
So you've only got the middle one or something.
Yeah, you can either make it so it uses the edges are not quite centered, or you can make it so the edges will reach the ends of the screen, or you can make it so it's zoomed in and then you can't see everything.
That reminds me of the version of Darius 2 I've played is the Sega Saturn version, and it basically is the ultra wide mode, but with the L and R buttons you can just zoom in and out at will. Nice. I heard that. It's good, except for the fact that when it's zoomed out, it's quite crunchy. It doesn't scale very well. So you either zoom it out and you can't make anything out, or you zoom it in and you can't see everything. So
it's because you haven't actually got the resolution there.
Exactly,
on Saturn,
you're trying to at least on the Switch, I can imagine when you zoom it out, you can still just about see everything.
Well, on the Switch, when you play Darius 2, you have the option between the single monitor or double monitor version of the game that was released.
Yes, of course, that game had two versions, didn't it? Yeah.
It had a third monitor version, but it was a limited version, and that never made it onto the collection for some reason.
Interesting.
I don't know why. Maybe it's considered a not great version, but
possibly.
All the same. I've been enjoying them. I probably got more mileage out of the console releases, which I didn't think would be the case. I thought it would be the opposite. I thought the arcade with the more monitors, more screen real estate would make the game easier. But it's not. It's just a hard game series, and playing in the arcade versions is just not any easier at all. But they're good. So, and M2 have done all the nice bells and whistles to it as well. So it is good.
So,
yeah.
Out of all of those ports, because I presume it's all ports of Darius 1 and 2 mostly, isn't it? On the consumer cart.
On the arcade one or on the
one they
console?
call the console one, yeah.
Yeah, it's essentially Darius 1 and 2 and the quote-unquote Gaia,
Oh, yeah.
But it's various versions of it.
Darius 2 with a funny name.
Yeah.
I think.
So it's like, it's like the Western version. It is different. They cut out... it's the Western version. They cut out a lot of levels completely and shortened others. Oh, yeah. So it is a different game. But there's various versions of it. I mean, you've got the Master System version of it on there as well, which is kind of interesting.
Really cool. That's really cool that they even did that, because you rarely get Master System games on these retro collections.
Exactly. And it's quite a neat version, actually. The Master System version of the game is not bad. You know?
I remember it being pretty good from what I played on my Everdrive.
For what it is, not too bad. So and like I say, you got the bells and whistles. I love one of the things the console version doesn't have that the arcade version does have is leaderboards, which is a shame.
Okay.
But and there's loads of cool extra features. Like when you're playing the arcade version, it's actually got a boss hit point counter on there, which you can add. You can add all these other little sort of doodads and gadgets to the screen to use the rest of the real estate up. So that's like a little
cool
when they
do that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Sega Ages version in a way. And they've even got little functions like you can have when you played the first game in the arcades, it would have 3 screens, but the 2 screens were projected off mirrors. So the color was not exactly the same, and you can replicate that with one of the functions if you want. That's cool.
So you got the slight discoloration of the middle screen or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So it's quite cool.
That's
cool.
It's
neat. So yeah, I've been playing that, and I'll probably sink a lot more time into it over the months. Other than that, I've been playing Curse of the Moon 2, which has been kicking my ass. That's good, but I feel like as much as I'm really happy about Curse of the Moon being a thing again, I don't think it's as well balanced as the first game is.
Okay.
So it's one of those things that's good, but first game's better, I think. And they just added a new difficulty patch to make it even harder, which is just was not necessary at all. But
I love when they do that. It's like I play a game and it's like I'm playing this on easy and it's already quite hard, and then they go, "Oh, here's a harder mode," and it's like I'm never playing that.
Yeah, never touching it.
It's not happening. I'm sure there's some people that are like, yes. This game was way too easy for me. This is great. I want it, but for me, no.
Yeah, the only time I can think of ever doing that in a game was when that Wonder Boy 3 had the extra difficulty that they added, and that's the only time I ever really dabbled in that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, of course that has a hard mode. I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, it's got the hard mode, and then they added a nightmare mode, which is the same as the hard mode, but you can't get any heart upgrades.
Boy. So you're just stuck with your default, what was it, 3 hearts or whatever it was?
1 heart.
1 heart, oh jeez.
And you lose health over time in that mode.
Really?
That's just not fair.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Even in hard mode, you lose health over time, but you can collect the extra hearts.
You're just always aging.
Yeah, pretty much. It's quite difficult.
That's mad.
But yeah, so I played that, and I played a bit of that Panzer Paladin that just come out.
Yeah, I was interested in that one.
Yeah, I haven't sunk much time into it because it crashed on me, so I didn't really get to play too much. But it looks fun. It's fun. It's what's the Tribute Games who made Scott Pilgrim and Wizorb and Ninja Senki and
I've liked a lot of their games.
Yeah,
I haven't played all of their games, but they tend to make good stuff. Mercenary Kings, I think that was another one of theirs.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, and this is really good. One of the features I really like about the game is it has a little sort of paint tool, and you can sort of draw your own weapons. Very cool function.
Awesome.
It's kind of like if Mega Man met Blaster Master, if that makes sense.
That's the vibes I was getting from the trailers.
Yeah. So it has this thing where the stage layout is kind of Mega Man-ish. But you can jump out of your mech and you can do your little running around as the not mech version. It's kind of neat. I like it. And it made me want to play Blaster Master Zero again. So I did. so I played through Blaster Master Zero. That's a good game. And Merchant of the Skies came out the other day. I think it's called Merchant of the
I
Skies.
saw that pop up on yours, and I looked on the shop, and I wasn't quite sure what it was. It looks like some kind of like ship management game.
Yeah, I mean, it literally is what it says on the tin. You're a merchant, and you fly around in like a Skies of Arcadia kind of world, selling, buying and selling basically, and then like buying islands to produce stuff and then selling, and then you have a goal of reaching a certain amount of money and then owning a certain amount of things, and it's kind of like a Zen game. It's it I won't say it would challenge you because it can, like, economically, but there's no combat or anything. It's just a chill sort of buying and selling game. So yeah, that's kind of fun.
Interesting.
Yeah,
kind of games like that from time to time. It can't all be like intense, like.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, I'd say the price is reasonable, but I'd say that unless it's definitely your cup of tea, maybe wait for a sale because your mileage will vary.
Yeah.
And I played a bit of Raiden 5 because that was on sale as well, and I'm enjoying that. Good. It's good. It's Raiden, they rarely ever go wrong.
True.
So pretty standard. It's very Toa Plan-ish, or maybe I should say Toa Plan's very Raiden-ish. I don't know which one came first. So yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah, you had me at Toa Plan.
Yeah,
I love me some Toa Plan shmups.
Yeah,
probably
so
some
waiting
of
on
my
them
favourites.
They're mine. That's probably my earliest memories of really enjoying shmups was like Fire Sharks. So
that makes sense. Like I'd say that Toa Plan's shmups were probably a lot of people, especially in the UK's like introduction to shmups because they were on the Mega Drive and just stuff like Truxton and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and it's one of those things as well where they obviously went on to make Psycho, didn't they? They're the ex Toa Plan team. So good pedigree there.
Yeah.
So I think M2 are working on those games. I think they're doing Flying Shark, but not Fire Shark yet. So
right.
I'll still get it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that collection.
Yeah, me too. So I think
Truxton 2. We're finally getting Truxton 2 on something other than like MAME.
Yeah.
An actual legit way of owning it.
It's about time, really. So yeah, I think that's about it for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's going next?
I'll be a bit brief as usual. Animal Crossing, no surprises there. We've had like the second summer update, which doesn't normally happen. Fireworks now, like every Sunday night. So
that's cute.
Yeah,
just chill out with the fireworks.
Yeah, it's like a little festival in the like town square where they can pay £500 for a raffle ticket, and every ticket gets a prize, and you get stuff like dealy boppers to put on your head, like there's light up ones and all sorts of different colours, balloons, which I found out the hard way that if you're around too much with a balloon, you actually fall over. I don't know why you fall over, but you just do. You're just running along, and all of a sudden, boom, you're on the ground, and you lose the balloon to go with that.
That's sad.
Yeah, it's the first.
You find a balloon, bump, gone.
Yeah,
just like real life.
Yeah, I was say it does feel as if like you're at a fairground, you're going along with your balloon, and all of a sudden it just floats off into the air.
Just that's the saddest of life.
Yeah. The gritty reality of Animal Crossing. Gritty realism, rather.
Speaking of, where's my Guy Fawkes night update?
Who are they going to burn?
That'd be like the creepiest thing ever, wouldn't it? Just log into Animal Crossing and there's just like effigies burning on things.
Exactly.
Of Tom Nook.
I was about to say Tom Nook is probably like prime candidate for the actual guy.
It's probably why they've never done it.
Yeah, it's
Tom
kind
Nook
of a
would just
weird
disapprove.
holiday.
Yeah, when you think about it, it's pretty strange.
Apart from Animal Crossing, not a lot really. I've been playing some Soviet Jump Game again with some friends, and
Oh yes, I still
I'm not
had
sure
a
if-
chance with this yet.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if everyone's just really bad, but I just seem to win each time. Like out of like a battle royal out of 50 people, I always come out on top. I'm not blowing my own trumpet here or anything, but that's just what happens. Yeah.
I don't know much about the game. What is it? What's it like?
It's literally, say the original Mario Brothers, not the Super Mario Brothers, the actual Mario Brothers.
Okay, yeah.
It's sort of like jumping on top of each other, on top of people, rather than bashing blocks underneath them. And it's a battle royale with that, whereas 50 people all going for like the top spot.
Just trying to bop each other, basically.
Yeah, it is.
I think, as I said before, it reminds me of an old homebrew game that I played on the Dreamcast called Super Mario War, which was basically a multiplayer versus Mario thing. If you've heard of that, then that's basically what this is.
Isn't it like a Game Grumps thing?
It is.
I think it was designed by them in some fashion. They collaborated with some studio to make it, but yeah.
Interesting.
Even right from the start, it has like the Game Grumps logo, and you can actually play as Aaron and Dan from Game Grumps.
Oh, it's free. I like free.
It is free. There's no reason to buy any of the bits and pieces for it, even though you can. That all it gives you is more emotes and more costumes, which don't really enhance anything, but just looks nice. So it is quite a fun Battle Royale game. Just trying to think what else have I played this week. I did mean to... just remembered. Lego.
Oh, yes, that arrived.
I was hoping to give an update. I was hoping to construct it over the last couple of days because I haven't been at work. And it wasn't until last night I got an email from Lego themselves saying, "Oh, your order's been shipped." And I thought, well, they took my money 2 days before the release day last Saturday.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was only sent out yesterday, and I found out where it is at the moment. Belgium.
So is it actually coming from Denmark?
It's coming from Lego themselves.
Yeah,
because they're in Denmark. I guess it's going across Europe to get to you.
It
That's
is.
interesting.
It is. I mean, like everyone that I know of, especially in the Nintendo UK community Facebook page, they've gone to like the local Smiths or bought from the Nintendo UK shop, and they're showing off their.
Yeah, I did see. We went into the city just yesterday, didn't we? And Game had a big Mario Lego display, didn't they? Big cardboard cutouts of
it was like
Mario
a
and
photo op thing.
Yoshi. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cute.
So I don't want to spoil it for like if people want to keep their secret. I'm guessing people know about the thing. Are we talking about the same Lego kit, like the Nintendo NES?
Well, the Super Mario one, I'm guessing, but I know about the NES Easter eggs.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were getting that NES, so I didn't want to...
Oh, no. That's £210.
Yeah.
I'd rather spend money on a Switch Lite than...
for like an extra tenner,
Yeah.
Well, that would be smart.
I mean, like...
You can play actual NES games on it.
Yeah. It would be nice to have that NES Lego kit. But...
It's very cool.
It's very cool. A lot of money to spend on a square, though, isn't it?
Pretty much.
It is.
Even if it does have a cool little Easter egg inside it.
Yeah. In fact, ShelvedGamer, do you want to say the Easter egg is?
Oh, okay.
I know what it is.
Yeah, we cool to say that on the stream. Yeah, okay. So
I just find it funny that we're trying to skirt around spoilers for like, a Lego kit.
Lego kit. That's what we're at.
So, spoilers, you build it and then it's built.
So you can take off the side, and there's a little sort of miniature replication of World. Was it 1-2? Yeah, 1-2. Complete with the warp zone as well. In sort of miniature. So I just thought that was very cool. The only thing I wonder is a lot of people saying they didn't realise while they were building it.
Yeah, I don't get that either. I presume the way you construct it Like, surely you're going to twig, like, why is there a bunch of little green bits going inside the NES? Like, what are they for? It's not circuit boards, is it?
No.
So, I saw that video. I think it was on, like, Game Explain or something. Where it was like, I didn't even realise this was in here. And it's like, you built it.
It's literally in the instruction manuals.
Yeah, it tells you in the instruction manuals to put this little layout and shows you where to put them. It's like, you didn't twig the whole time that there was an Easter egg being built in front of you as you were building it.
In his defense,
I don't get it. Yeah.
In his defense, I'd say he's going like page by page, and I thought, okay, where's this going? And all of a sudden, bam, there's World War II.
Yeah,
so
I mean, to be fair, like, I have seen people saying, you know, obviously I haven't built a Lego kit since I was probably 8. So, like, and especially like the big elaborate ones that take hours to do, like, generally the way the instructions are laid out and stuff, they don't really explain what you're building, just how to build it. So I guess maybe at some point he just like made this little section and then it was like, oh, put that aside for a minute and get probably like, you know, there's a lot of complication with like building those things.
Yeah,
so,
it might be the engineered in such a way that you only put a piece in at a time, and it doesn't become apparent that you're building this greater thing all at once.
Yeah, it's just like Labo, really. That was the same, wasn't it? When you were building the Labo kits, like some of it wasn't really obvious what it was until it was put together. Hey.
Yeah.
I guess I could see that actually. It's the same with the Labo kits, you know. Half the fun with Labo is the actual, or more than half of the fun of Labo is the constructing part.
Yeah.
Which is the same with Lego as well, you know.
I'd say with any building project that is the case.
That is the part that's supposed to give you all the glee.
Yeah. So what Lego kit did you get? Which Mario one did you get?
I got the starter kit. And because I pre-ordered with Lego themselves, I've got the exclusive Monty Mole kit coming.
Ooh. A Monty Mole kit? That's cool. Does he have little wrenches?
I actually don't know, but it would be cool.
I am thinking of the right character, aren't I?
The one that's walking around and Mario Brothers checkers. Yeah. I admittedly have resisted temptation to stop off at my local Smith's on the way home from work, because I know for a fact that as soon as I see all the blind bags, all the construction kit, all the expansion kits, I'm going to go just like, oh, I'll have that one, I'll have that one, I'll have that one.
I didn't realise there were blind bags as well.
Yeah, it's only enemies.
They're getting you from every angle there.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably why it's coming from Denmark, because you bought it from Lego.
Yeah. I'm straight from the factory.
From what I've seen of all the expansion kits, it's like, it's nice to have like a Bowser's Castle. It's nice to have like a haunted house, and nice to have Yoshi's little house as well. But yeah, I'm feeling it's going to build up, and it probably will make bankrupt.
It's going to end up like the Labo kits, where you build them all, and then you're like, where do I put them?
Some people describing it like Mario Maker, but with Lego. I get the angle that they're coming at, but I wonder if that really applies.
I think it's a case of like they give you the pieces to basically make a level, but you can make the level however you want. Like you can position the platforms how you want them. You can position the enemies where you want them.
Yeah.
Personally, cool. I just want the figure. I just want the talking Mario. I just
creepy really Mario.
Cool. Yeah, I think he's adorable. He's weird, chunky, square man, but and the fact that his eyes like turn off when you turn him off is a bit spooky, and his mouth disappears. But
I'd like for him to make minifigs one day, though. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I'd like a little Luigi.
Yeah.
I'd like to have like a little display case.
Yeah, a little Wario minifigure and a Waluigi. And
just a Koopa shell would be nice.
Yeah. I actually would be surprised if this set does really well, which I think it will. I wouldn't be surprised if they come out like next year with a Luigi figure to go besides the Mario one.
Oh,
like
yeah, certainly.
One to go right next to it. Basically, it's the same stuff, but has Luigi's voice. I definitely want that. If you give me a choice between a Mario toy and a Luigi toy that talks, I'm going to take the Luigi.
Every time.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to playing with it. I know when I was younger, I wasn't exactly into Lego, but I do see this as a bit of a challenge and something I can enjoy. So, yeah, hopefully when it's here, I sort of have discussed with the Gagaman filming a video for it. But yeah, I'm hoping to do like a little hyperlapse of me constructing it because I know it's going to take hours. So I'd rather condense it down to a sizable video and hopefully give you some gameplay of it. So
nice.
So
gameplay.
That's not. Well, yeah.
Let's play Mario. I mean, technically it is. Yeah. There's plenty of YouTube channels that do that.
So yeah, that's what I have and haven't been playing this week.
What you've been playing and what you're looking forward to playing.
Yeah. Hurry up! I want my Lego.
Want to go next?
Sure. It's gonna be quite short because again, it's same old really. Though I made a fair bit of progress in Pokemon Crystal lately. So far I've beaten Warty.
Oh yeah.
So I should be halfway through that game now. As far as the story's concerned, I'm playing Sun and Moon right now. Ultra Moon.
Ultra Moon, yeah.
Yep. And in that, I'm just working on my living decks. So trying to actually have every Pokemon on you. that's a long road to go.
Yeah, you've been doing that on like loads of different Pokemon games. You've been sort of like trying to 100% each of them. It's like I'm surprised you're not getting confused.
I was about to say the multitasking is immense.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't call it 100% in the game. It's just like going with the whole catch 'em all thing.
Well, yeah, it's 100% in the Pokemon.
Yeah,
I guess.
But yeah, there's that. And then same old Dr. Mario World.
They added some pretty cool stuff to that recently, didn't they?
I think I mentioned last week that they added the 8-bit Dr. Mario.
Yeah, I had to boot up the game just to get that.
Yeah, and the event finished yesterday to celebrate because it was celebrating 30 years of the original Dr. Mario. Yeah.
Added a couple other characters recently as well, didn't they? Wasn't it like Larry or something?
Oh no, we're thinking
I don't know. They keep adding characters to it pretty frequently.
Dr. Lemmy.
Everyone's a doctor. Literally everyone's a doctor,
including I don't know a few Goombas that are like stacked up
in a jacket. Yeah, they're just like stacked up with like a jacket or something.
Yeah, that's the most. That's the most.
Everyone gets a doctorette in the Mario world. Literally everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I want them to do? Now that they've put like 8-bit Dr. Mario in there, I want them to put the dog and the nurse from the prototype version, Virus.
Oh, yeah.
Has anyone here ever seen that? The prototype version
I have.
of Dr. Mario. There was like an early build called Virus and it didn't have Mario in it at all. It just had like this little graphic of like some kind of bulldog or something and like a nurse. Yeah, I want them to put that bulldog in Dr. Mario World.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
I think he's like crying in pain or something. I don't know. I had to look it up. It's one of those rare cases until last week where we actually got a prototype of a NES game.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that whole treasure trove.
Yeah. Anything else, or is that pretty much it?
That's about it.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I told you it'd be short.
Pokemon and Dr. Mario.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'll go next because, funnily enough, I've actually been playing a Pokemon game as well.
Yeah.
They on the Switch for the occasionally they put up like games that you can play for free for about a week. I think they did it with Mario Tennis Aces. They did it with ARMS a little while ago.
Splatoon.
Yeah, I think they did Splatoon as well. In the last week they put up Pokken Tournament Deluxe as a freebie, and I've been mostly playing that in the last week.
Yeah,
because I basically wanted to get some time in on that. I actually really enjoy that. You could definitely get a Tekken vibe from it because I know in some countries it's literally called Pokemon Tekken because the word Pokken means
That's
something else.
offensive.
Smallpox, that's it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Because we went. What was that? We went to like a museum, didn't we, in the Netherlands, didn't we? And they had a display of smallpox, and it said Pokken.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That was cool. It was like a microbe zoo.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah, it was weird, but really cool.
It's on our channel somewhere. If you look up Netherlands, you'll find it. Yeah, so I've been mostly playing that in the last week, just on and off, going through the story mode, which is just basically little tournaments and then facing off against like some kind of hyped up Mewtwo that just kicks your ass every time for plot reasons. Yeah, I think my main ended up becoming Gengar. I just really like Gengar. Like his moveset's really fun. He's got like this punch that may as well be Bayonetta's punch, where like a big fist comes out of a portal. Obviously, he just attacks with his tongue a lot. He's got this really fun special move. Like he turns into like some kind of mega evolution or something, and then he'll like throw this orb at the opponent, and then just take them into like this nightmare world where he basically eats them or something. It's really weird, but
yeah.
Man, what would it be like if, like, the Pokemon company, they made a mainline Pokemon game like Sword and Shield, but they got Namco to do the graphics? Like, because the visuals in this game are so bloody good, especially when you think it was originally a Wii U game, and it just looks so much nicer. I know it's obviously a lot less Pokemon. It's like 20 odd Pokemon in this versus like hundreds, but like the animation is just so good. Like the movesets are quite fun to do. The actual combat, it's kind of like. Well, I don't really need to explain it, but basically there's like two different like modes that you shift between. There's like a 3D mode and a 2D mode. But yeah, really fun. I even quite enjoyed playing. You can play as Pikachu, but you can also play as like a luchador Pikachu.
Oh yeah.
And just do like all these like grappling moves and stuff. That character's really fun to play as. Yeah, you could definitely feel the Namco of it. Like there's straight up songs in it that sound like they come straight out of Ridge Racer Type 4, which I was really like one of the options screens. I was just hanging around on the options screen because it had this music that was just Type 4 as all hell, and I was just like, this is great. I love
brings out memories.
Yeah, this is my aesthetic. I like it. So yeah, I've been playing quite a bit of that. I finished off that platformer called Miles and Kilo a little while ago, so I decided to go back to the prequel, which was called Kid Trip. I think it's like a little platformer that you can. I think it's still on sale for less than £1 at the moment. I've been playing. I basically beat that earlier today, actually. Quite a bit shorter than the first one. It doesn't have like the dog. The second one's definitely the better game. Like you could definitely feel the improvements. It's very similar, but you could definitely feel the improvements.
I remember seeing this.
Yeah, Miles and Kilo's a fantastic little game. Kid Trip's good as well, but I feel like it's got like a life system, but it's not really necessary because every time you run out of lives, you can just start on that level again anyway, and you just get 10 lives every time. So the lives are kind of pointless. It's mainly for a score reason. So if you can keep going through the levels and earning lives and earning coins without game overing, because obviously if you game over, you run out of all your coins. So I think it's like a score-based thing, basically. But yeah, I don't know. I think I just prefer how it plays out in the second game, where you go into a level and it just counts how many times you died. I think when I beat the game, in the case of Kid Trip, it counted how many times I died, and it was like 890 deaths or something. Because it's only 4 worlds, it's quite short, but it still took me about 2 hours to beat.
There is a sort
almost 3 hours.
There's a sort of Wonder Boy / Sonic aesthetic to it.
It's very Wonder Boy. Like I'd say that's mostly what it resembles, like in terms of gameplay, because it's kind of it's pretty much on rails. Like the second one, you can actually choose whether to have it on rails or not, because obviously if you have it on rails, you go as fast as you can, and you're just concentrating on jumping and throwing rocks. So yeah, like the throwing mechanics, just like Wonder Boy's, like hammer, and yeah. Like the jumping is very particular in this game. Like the way you press the button and then let go to drop down you have to be very particular with the jumping. It's very
you say the platforming feels good, the platforming? Or?
It does feel good, but also the levels are designed in a way where you have to be literally pixel perfect with your jumps to like... But what I like about both of these games is the levels don't outstay their welcome. They're hard, but they're short. Like, once you actually get a full clear of a level, it's like 20 seconds, if that. It's just that 20 seconds is such a hard 20 seconds that you're going to be there for about... In some cases, I was on a level for like 20 minutes. Just trying to get one successful loop of this 20-second level, because yeah,
a bit like playing Adventure Island or Wonder Boy. Basically, it's the same sort of thing where one level can take forever, really.
Yeah, it feels like Wonder Boy, but like really distilled to like really condensed levels. Like, you know, in Wonder Boy, there's quite a lot of stretches where you're not really doing a lot. In this, everything is like laser focused. Like, from the split second you start the level, you have to focus. Like, there's no like lapse parts where you're just walking along casually. It's all very like, you've got to be very accurate.
I'll probably give that a bash, to be honest.
I would definitely recommend them, especially when they're on sale, because they are quite often on sale for less than £1. So I would highly recommend, for that price. I'd say they're an absolute bargain. Like, they're good fun. I've beaten both of them now. Got a few hours out of each as well, and there's more reasons to go back, so I can get like all the little achievements and stuff. Last thing I'll talk about is I played a demo that popped up on the Japanese eShop because I thought the graphics looked really cool, and I was just quite intrigued by the trailer. This is actually getting an English release, physical as well, I believe. It's by Nippon Ichi. Is that what they're called? Yeah. They seem to keep putting out like these really interesting games on the Switch that are just like quite unique, and I'm starting to really dig their stuff, like what they've been putting out lately. So this demo, it popped up on the Japanese eShop. So obviously the whole thing's in Japanese at the moment. So dialogue-wise, I don't know what's going on. It's a game called what was it? Mad Rat Dead. Mad Rat Dead.
Yeah.
So this is a rhythm platformer. In terms of like the rhythm stuff, it's very similar to what's that game called? Necrodancer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's very similar to that. It's even got like the little metronome visuals at the bottom, so you know when you're going to the beat. So really, I was really shocked by the start of this game. So the game basically starts with a rat very graphically getting dissected. I was like, oh, Jesus! I just did not see it coming. Like, I mean, I should have guessed just from the character design, because the rat character you play as basically has a massive hole in his stomach where his heart is sort of like held in with like these spikes. It's got this really cool sort of like punk art style, sort of kind of like Jet Set Radio or something like that, but it's all like 2D graphics, kind of like Rayman Origins or something like that. So basically, you're trying to do everything to the beat, so you're sort of like running along to the beat, you're jumping and dashing and sort of it's kind of like it's sort of like a Sonic moveset in a way, because you've got a jump, you've got a long jump, you've got a jump upwards that sort of makes you spin, you've got a sort of homing attack when there's enemies near you, and you've got like a down thrust, which is kind of like down thrust you get in stuff like Sonic Unleashed. But as I say, you have to do it all to the beat of the song. And yeah, I have barely a rhythmic bone in my body, so at points I was really struggling with this game. But it did start to click after a while. One thing I'll say about the demos, it's a really bloody long demo. It's like an hour. I didn't even actually get to the end of the demo because there was a boss part in it, which was also equally kind of gross, because it was all like lab-tested mice that had like their brains exposed, and you were like attacking them when their brains pop out. Basically, it was really nasty. I mean, it's got like this cute sort of cartoony punk style, but then it's also got like this really kind of messed up plot about like lab rats and
vivisection.
Yeah,
bit like the plague dogs.
Yeah, I think like the rat technically dies at the start of the game, and then there's like this angelic mouse that basically tutorializes you through the game in like this otherworldly cheese lands, and then like your heart's got like a clock in it, and it takes you back in time to just after or just before you're dissected, and then you escape your cage and you're running around all the labs and stuff. And also for some reason the heart is anthropomorphic and it just jumps out and has like an eyeball and little arms and talks to you as well, because why not, I suppose. But yeah, really cool aesthetic, really cool music, and like I was kind of struggling with some of it, especially the boss, because it was like a self-contained little one-screen area, and it was a bit hard to like. You're basically just trying to avoid the boss running around until like his brain pops out, and you're trying to do that to the ribbon. And a lot of the time, as soon as I went out of ribbon, I just kept messing up. And like it's difficult, but I would highly recommend trying it if you've got a Japanese account on your Switch. Go hunt that. It should be under like latest demos or something like that.
So it's a side-scrolling platformer. This,
it's a side-scrolling platformer, but with like that kind of like rhythmic action to it, like Necrodancer.
But I'm guessing it's just like for inputs like jumping in this, not for like moving side to side.
Yeah, it's just you press a button to sort of run forward like a step, kind of, and then you've got jumping attacks and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's actually getting a English release, so I presume there'll be an English demo at some point, which I'll probably play it again just to know what the dialogue was, because there was a lot of moments like when those like lab mice with like their brains sticking out were talking. It was clear they were just screaming nonsense and just screaming like in the text, and it's just like, okay, this is pretty. It was pretty mad. Hence the name, I guess. Hence the crisps. But yeah, I don't know. There was another demo on there by Nippon Ichi called Void Terminal that I played a while back. That also really like. It was just something about it that really stood out to me. It was just like, this feels like the kind of game that would be like a Japanese only Dreamcast release or something that's like really underrated, you know, like something like Lack of Love or something, or Nap and Tail. It's got that kind of vibe to it where it's like it's something that's incredibly niche and not a lot of people are gonna, you know,
it's
go and seek it out. But if they try it, I literally tried these because they had free demos. Otherwise I would have probably not even noticed them. But like,
no, I mean it's interesting. It's Nippon Ichi, obviously mostly known for Disgaea and games with that kind of aesthetic. Interesting to see them sort of step away from that from time to time.
They're sort of branching out into all these different styles now, and it's like that Void Terminal's kind of like a roguelite dungeon crawler type. But again, it's got a really unique like vibe to it.
Not to go on too much of a tangent, but like you've got a lot of obscure games. I mean, I don't know if you've heard, but Moon is coming to the Switch soon in the West.
Yes, I can't wait for that.
I'm so excited for that. That's something I never would see.
Yeah, I never thought we'd get a localization of that. Speaking of old, obscure, like underrated games with a unique vibe.
Yeah, there's literally the apex of that, really, isn't it?
Yeah, the game that inspired Undertale and many other games. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, other than like the usual Asphalt and some other stuff, I think that's mostly what I've been playing.
Okay.
So yeah.
I'll just jump into one more thing for the next segment, because I forgot about something I was playing, because I was so annoyed that Clubhouse games, Worldwide Games didn't have Go on it. It annoyed me so much that I took it into my own hands to find a Go game to play.
On the Switch, or
there is one on the Switch, but it's very highly priced. It's 30.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, and it's really like machine translated English. It's a good way to play Go.
Why does it cost so much? Like, I feel like they're taking advantage of people like you that are saying that there's no Go on Worldwide Games. They're like, haha, here it is. It's the only Go game. Give us your money. It's about the same price as all those other games.
Japan has loads. Like they have like several, but that's the only one that seems to be in English. But no, not on Switch, sadly. I just but there aren't as many as you'd think. Like, I mean, there are, but they're all, you know, passable menu translations. But I found Hikaru no Go on the GBA is very playable. So I've been playing
like an anime.
It was, it was an anime
like by a shonen thing.
Yeah, by the guy who went on to do Death Note, actually.
Yeah.
you can really sort of see his style in the art. And yeah, it's it's got the story mode, and someone did actually do a partial translation of that game. But there's also just like you can just have a straight up game of Go against varying difficulty. So that's the best I've got for now, So hopefully they'll patch it into Clubhouse games one day, but I don't know whether that's in the scope of that game.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if they add stuff to it, to be honest.
Yeah,
I feel like that's just like a self-contained thing.
They'd have to call it 52 Clubhouse games or whatever. So
yeah, patch notes, extra game.
But yeah, that's just a little tidbit I wanted to add at the end.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right, I guess we shall move on to the news.
Here we go, humming a news theme tune. That's before any of our time. But yeah.
All right. I couldn't tell what that was.
It's the 80s BBC News theme.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
Right, so first one we'll go into news-wise. There isn't a lot this week compared to last week where there was just like all that Nintendo leak stuff that we were talking about for ages. I could probably go and find some of the stuff I could go and find some of the stuff that's been updated from that, because they haven't released even more leaked stuff. It's just people are still discovering stuff in all that content. But first thing we'll go into is a Irish novelist called John
Boyne.
John Boyne. He accidentally included a Zelda reference in his latest novel.
Accidentally.
Yeah. So his latest book, which is called The Traveller at the Gates of Wisdom, it's kind of like it's not supposed. It's fictional, but it's not supposed to be like fantasy. It's like
It's very serious.
It's a historical drama of some kind.
Yeah.
So there's a section in this where it describes the ingredients of red colour dye.
Yeah.
And amongst the description is like the ingredients contain the tail of a red Lizalfos, is that? Lizalfos and 4 Hylian shrooms. That's just in his novel. Like it's just some random ingredients from Breath of the Wild are just there.
Yep.
just threw them in a pot and played a cute little tune, and then got some red dye.
I'm guessing you just Google searched how to make red dye, and that's what
I think that's literally what happened.
Yeah.
So that's silly, and then obviously someone on Twitter who bought the book like pointed it out and put a big red circle around it in case you couldn't spot it.
Right.
Can
we just point out that this is the writer of The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, which is quite a classic fictional novel about children in the Holocaust.
Yeah,
he did get a movie adaptation as
well.
Yeah,
as well.
He did. Yeah. So yeah, that guy's latest novel just randomly has some Breath of the Wild stuff in it. So obviously people saw this in the book and were like, "Is it a homage? Is it an Easter egg?" I mean, it's not a fantasy; it's supposed to be realistic.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to have weird video game stuff references in it. Yeah, and then sure enough, people did a Google search on like how to dye clothes red, and they literally came up with guides to Breath of the Wild.
Yep.
This is why you check your sources.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, people found this, they looked it up, they contacted him about it, and turns out that he's not going to edit this out of the book, because he's decided to keep it in there.
Leave it as is.
Because he thought it was quite amusing.
I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and he said he's going to put like a little footnote in the back of the book somewhere that just says, "Hey, this is
acknowledging Zelda,
where it's from, basically."
Yeah.
So
Nintendo, please don't sue me.
Yeah. I mentioned Hylian shrooms. Please don't sue me, Nintendo. So he's going to keep that in there. Yeah, acknowledging its origins, despite him never touching a video game, apparently. So, yeah.
Well, I admire the honesty.
Yeah, the honesty of, hey, I googled some stuff and just wrote down whatever came up. That's really silly. Did you just look at like the little Google question and answers that come up and just like go, that's the answer, that'll do.
I'm
Paste
impressed.
that in.
I'm impressed that with the amount of drafts it would have gone through and the amount of editors and test readers,
Yeah.
that it slipped through
That's a really
all
good
of the
point.
cracks.
That's a really good point because books don't just get released; they
Certainly
go
not.
through a million revisions before they get on
Yeah.
bookstores. I mean, he's quite a famous writer. He's not like a first time publisher or
No.
anything like that. But still, the amount of things that go through. The amount of steps these books go through, I'm surprised that snuck in, basically.
It's a bit like how...
Not a single person that read this book has played a video game.
Yeah, it's a bit like how... I can't remember what Harry Potter book it was, but there was one where it had like a grammar mistake.
Okay.
And that was like pointed out all over the place.
I presume that got patched in later prints.
I don't know, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
there was that
other book.
And then there was that other Harry Potter book where that mentions the PlayStation, even though I think it was the third book, and which was meant to be set in 1993, and PlayStation didn't come out till 1995.
Yeah.
Well, they are wizards.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got consoles from the very near future.
Yeah.
They just waved their wands and went futurist, consolous.
Yeah.
And you've got like
a PlayStation,
an early PlayStation, like a Japanese one. All they had was Motor Tune.
Yeah.
It's like I don't think this was worth it. I could have just stuck playing my Super Nintendo, but all I've got is Motor Tune.
Let's be honest, Harry probably would have had a Mega Drive.
Harry seems, you reckon he seems like a Mega Drive kind of guy?
Yeah, probably. I mean, he probably would have only had hand-me-down, so he probably would have only had a Master System.
Yeah,
Harry. Yeah, that sounds more.
Dudley
plausible.
would have the Top Dog stuff, but then he'd just get the second controller.
Yeah, the third-party controller.
Yeah.
I like this version of Harry Potter more.
Yeah, we're just trying to figure out what consoles they would have.
Yeah.
Hermione would most likely have a Super Nintendo
or an Amiga.
Yeah.
I mean, she's from London. She's probably well off.
Yeah, she probably had like an
Ron
Amiga 1200. Yeah.
And I expect Ron probably has something like, I don't know,
an Amiga CD TV. just for educational purposes. She doesn't have any video games, but she does have a Town with No Name.
Oh yeah.
Oh dear.
That was a weird rabbit hole.
That really was. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I could even bring up from that. Yeah. To quote the author, he literally said, "I'll leave it as it is. I actually think it's quite funny, and you're totally right. I don't remember, but I must have just Googled it." Sometimes you just got to throw your hands up and say, "Yep, my bad."
Mm-hmm. Then never talk about poisons in a novel again.
Yeah. So yeah, there was that random little thing that actually popped up on The Guardian. So it's, yeah.
Well, and then I ended up bringing it up. Right.
Yeah, I just like seeing weird little articles like that. Tickle me. Yeah, stuff like that's quite neat. Earlier today, we got an announcement. Nintendo are doing that thing again where they just shadow drop a game on Twitter just out of nowhere, kind of like what they did with Paper Mario. We get another Wii U poll.
Yeah.
So Pikmin 3 Deluxe got revealed, and it's coming out on October the 30th. Mm-hmm. So trying to think how many.
Away.
Yep, not long. Again, they're doing. I mean, it's a poll, so it's not like they've got a lot of work to do or anything. But this one's going to contain all the DLC. It's going to add some new side story missions featuring Olimar and Louis, which is pretty cool. Sort of like a epilogue and a prologue for them guys to sort of wrap up the story, see it from their perspective and all that kind of stuff. And one thing that I'm actually kind of surprised the Wii U one didn't have is it's got multiple difficulty options. So if the game's too nasty, you can turn it down a peg, or if you want a harder mode, that'll be there as well. So that's cool.
Yeah, so I've always sucked at Pikmin, so I would appreciate difficulty options.
Yeah. I I seem to remember I got this game for free when I got my Wii U because they were doing like a Mario Kart 8 promotion where if you buy that game, you get like a digital code for a game of your choice. And I decided to go with Pikmin 3 because I thought most of the other ones I might just buy anyway, but this one's one I'm not sure about, so I might as well get it for free and see if I like it. And I ended up loving it, and I ended up playing through the whole thing. It's the first time I actually played because it didn't really have like the time limits of the earlier games or like the first game specifically. I just got on with it more, so I actually played it all the way through, which I never did with the previous two. I think I only rented the previous two as well, so that probably didn't help. But like, yeah, really enjoyed that game. I'm not really sure if I'm going to go out of my way and buy it again though. Well, get it again. I didn't technically buy it. I bought Mario Kart and got it for free, but
I know there are mega Pikmin fans out there, and they're probably really happy about this.
I think it's from what I've seen, it's a mix. It's a mix of people being like, "Yay, this game's going to get more attention because it's on a console people actually own," and like Pikmin's going to get some attention again, which is good for the Pikmin franchise because the last one was like some weird platformer on the 3DS that nobody really cared for. I forget what the name of it was now, but it was like a side scroller, wasn't it?
Hey Pikmin.
That's the one. Hey Pikmin, yeah. I think that was one of those rare 3DS Nintendo first party games that got flogged off for really cheap at one point. But I think there's also just as many Pikmin fans going, didn't Miyamoto basically confirm that they were working on Pikmin 4 years ago? What happened to that?
The same thing that happened to Metroid Prime 4, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, maybe it got development hell. Maybe they started from scratch. Maybe they cancelled it. Who knows? Because it was never like officially announced. It was just kind of a I think it was just a case of Miyamoto mentioned it in an interview or something.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it's not even
it wasn't
necessarily.
Yeah, it was just more a case of they're working on it, but it was never like an official announcement as such.
Mm-hmm. Where is my Metroid Prime trilogy on the Switch, by the way?
Yes. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if that's another one of those games where they just drop it out of nowhere and go, "Oh, it's out next week or in a couple months." That. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, it'd be a cheaper way to own it, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I'm still shocked that it is that price still.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel about Nintendo doing that constantly, like bringing games that ain't even that old from the Wii U and just charging full price for them again, or in some cases charging more than they were on the Wii U. Like in the case of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, it actually cost more on the Switch than it did on the Wii U.
It's forever going to as well.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. Like the game, obviously. The good thing about the Wii U now is the games are dirt cheap. You can get most of the games for around 10, 15 quid now, for the most part. I'm pretty sure you can get Pikmin 3 on the Wii U for less than a tenner now. So if you have a Wii U or if you find a Wii U cheap, it's a good way to play those games if you don't want to pay the Switch prices because they're considerably cheaper. And obviously, you're not getting all the same bells and whistles that they're adding to these ports, and also
portable mode and stuff. But
yeah, true. But another thing I really liked about the Wii U one was they had sort of like a touchscreen control mode. I ended up playing the whole game that way because I actually found that really fun. Like playing it with the touch, sort of like looking at the screen, but you're also using the screen to move everything around and whistle and all that kind of stuff. I thought. I'm curious how the Switch controls are going to work, actually.
Well, I mean, Switch has got a touchscreen, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So maybe they'll find a way to make it... Because it definitely felt like one of those games that kind of needs a stylus as well. So I know they do styluses for the Switch now.
Not really
the optimal. No. It'll be curious to see if they add some multi-touch stuff. Yeah, kind of like pinching in and out to zoom in and out or stuff like that. That'd be quite interesting to see if they can do stuff with the controls.
I mean, I'm curious to see how Wonderful 101 handles, to be honest.
Oh, right, yeah. That's a really interesting one because they've basically added like a split screen mode, but you can move the screen that used to be the gamepad screen where you draw stuff. They basically let you shrink it and move it to wherever you want.
That reminds me of Crystal Chronicles on the Wii, also the DS version as well, where because it was on DS, it had 2 screens. They literally just like an emulator, just slammed 2 screens on there that you could resize with some
I think that's what the Mega Man Zero collection does for the DS games as well.
Yes, I believe you're right.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way of going about that, actually.
Yeah, they did that with
DS games on the Wii U were a really good way of playing DS games because you could either have both screens on your TV or you could have one on your TV and one on the gamepad, and there was a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like for Atlas to have, like, you know, not given up on the Trauma Center series because I feel like that could go well on the Switch.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'd love to see a new one of those.
Oh yeah, I used to have the original DS one of that.
I had the DS one. I got it on Wii. The Wii one is great, but it does hurt to play because you're holding this Wiimote.
Yeah, you have to be very precise in that game. And on the DS, it's quite easy to be precise, but when you're holding a Wii remote, I can imagine it gives you a bit of cramp.
Yeah, it makes it feel like more like Surgeon Simulator.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I'm starting to wonder how many Wii U games are left at this rate. Like, there's not many. There's really not a lot of like Wii U games that are actually still exclusive to the Wii U. Let me think. There's that. What was it? Xenoblade. What was it called?
Xenoblade Chronicles X. Yeah.
Yeah. There was that. There was a Paper Mario called Color Splash on there. There was Game and Wario, Nintendo Land,
3D World.
Mario 3D World, and Wii Fit U. I guess you could count that. I think that's it. Like
Captain Toad.
That's on
coming.
Switch.
Yeah.
That came out quite a while ago on Switch, I think. Again, that was like a budget game on the Wii U, and then when it came to the Switch, it was considerably more expensive. It's like, we added 10 levels. It's like, great. Still way too expensive for a game you already released. It kind of feels like they're screwing over Wii U owners, basically. It's like, did you buy this game? Buy it again. It's like, no.
I think there was a Kirby game on the Wii U as well, wasn't there?
Oh, yes. It was like a sequel.
Was it Rainbow Paintbrush?
Yeah, Rainbow Paintbrush. Yeah, that was really good, actually. I enjoyed that game. I would not be surprised if they found a way to bring that to Switch, but it maybe have to be handheld only. I'm not sure how that would really work.
Star Fox Zero definitely would be struggle to work on the Switch, I think.
Oh yeah, I feel like they would be better off just rebuilding that game from scratch.
I remember seeing this week Platinum Games don't even know if they really want to.
I don't blame them, to be honest. I feel like, especially when it was like, this is a Star Fox game coming from Platinum Games, like, oh my god, this is going to be awesome. And the result was just kind of bland. Like, it was a really...
I mean,
Platinum Games, you expect like bombastic, ridiculous action, and you just didn't get that with this game.
I mean, I do play devil's advocate for Star Fox Zero, but I do realise that it's very clunky.
Even if you stripped out all the strange dual screen control stuff that kind of didn't work, even if you strip all that out, it's just kind of a bland remake of 64 again.
Yeah,
it's like
again.
It's like they could have done They could have done so much more with like that. They could have basically done for Star Fox what Afterburner Climax did for Afterburner. You know, just make it really fast and over the top and really cool explosions.
I think that is the Star Fox problem. They kind of get stuck in a rut of just doing the same thing over and over again, with maybe tweaking in a new mechanic, but not really changing anything else.
Yeah.
The gameplay loop feels very much the same. The environments feel the same. You know, the story feels the same. And so I like Star Fox, but we're still at the stage where they haven't even really given us any reason to play that over Star Fox 64. So
So out of these games, most of them I don't think will ever get ported. Like Nintendo Land, that's going to stay on the Wii U forever. Wii Fit U, I can't see them going back to Wii Fit after they've done what's it called? Ring Fit Adventure. I feel like that's their fitness game for now. I can't see them going back to the Wii Sports or the Wii Fit brands, because what would they even call it? Would they call it Switch Fit? I don't really know how that would work out. So as soon as they announced that Ring Fit Adventure, I was like, oh, that's this gen's Wii Fit. Clearly, that's their initiative for that, and I think it's probably a better idea at this point. Like Wii Fit had its time, but I feel like this works better for the now. For Nintendo. Game and Wario, again, don't think that's really worth it, to be honest. Like, I would prefer a new WarioWare over a port of that. Paper Mario Color Splash, probably unlikely because they literally just released a new Paper Mario, so I can't imagine them bringing that over, like a deluxe version of that anytime soon. Maybe if they get really desperate in a couple of years' time, they'll be like, oh, we'll throw a port of this out, but otherwise, not 100% likely. Xenoblade, maybe.
I'd say
remade, because I think they're trying to get all the Xenoblades on this system because they remade the Wii game, and I don't know if that's.
But that's infinitely more of a valuable remake than X, I would say.
Yeah,
not that I think X is a terrible game, but it's kind of like one of those ones where like you create your own character and there isn't really much plot. And it's just a massive world for you to run around in, and it was like, I don't know, Xenoblade seemed to me a lot better, so I don't know if they go back to that. I mean, it's not impossible, you know.
Yeah.
Project Zero 3, mate, but is it 3 or 4 at this point? 4.
Project Zero.
4,
I'm surprised that hasn't come over already, to be honest, because I feel like it really didn't get a chance on the Wii U, because it didn't even. You couldn't even get like a physical version of that normally. There was like there was like a super expensive collector's edition that went out of stock immediately. Otherwise, it was like there was like a free trial that basically downloaded the whole game onto your Wii U, and it was massive and almost filled up my Wii U. And like it was like something like £50 on the eShop. And I was like,
for a digital game.
A digital-only game, essentially, other than that collector's edition. So yeah, that game definitely deserves a port, I think. But other than like that and like 3D World, I don't think there's much left. Like the Wii U's just been stripped bare of like almost every exclusive it had. Like,
it kind of needed to.
Yeah, I get it. I get why they're doing it. Like, the games are obviously selling infinitely more than they ever could on the Wii U, even though some of them did sell quite well, considering how much of a flop the Wii U was. And I totally get it, and it's a good way of filling in the gaps. But I just kind of want to see them bring over more Wii games more than anything, because I feel like they would have more benefit. Because, like, a Wii U port, it's got to be almost exactly the same. It's like, the visuals ain't going to be that much better. Maybe a slight resolution bump. But that otherwise are going to be essentially the same. Whereas, you know, like in the case of Xenoblade Chronicles, when they remade it, they added a lot of stuff. They upgraded all the graphics. You know, it's the first time it's in HD. I mean, there's plenty of Wii games like Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, for example, stuff like that. Bring that over to the Switch with brand new graphics, and you've got some money from me.
I mean, I would like them to bring over the entire quote-unquote Operation Rainfall RPGs.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I get what you mean. Last Story and
Pandora's
Tower.
Yeah. Because Last Story, unfortunately, played like arse on the Wii. It was so much slowed down. Yeah, it was really bad to play, which is a shame. No, it's Mistwalker. They don't have the best programmed games. Lost Odyssey was no better. Or Blue Dragon, for that matter. But I really wanted this to work because it was such a cool game. So, and Pandora's Tower is a very nice game, but it's on the Wii and it just doesn't really look good. You know, it's like they aimed too high for what the Wii was capable of.
Quite a few games on the Wii that felt like that. It was like, this is a really cool idea, but like it needs something more powerful.
It's like Xenoblade. You know, the original Xenoblade. It's just, it does not look pretty.
It's still amazing that they even pulled that game off on the Wii, and at least it doesn't look like the 3DS port that came out.
I know. I bought my new 3DS for that, and I played it of all of like 3 hours. So I was just like, it was just like
you need to upgrade your 3DS, but it still looks like shit.
And we're not going to release any other games like that, really.
Yep, I think there was literally like 2 games that used maybe 3 at a push that were exclusive to the new 3DS. They were exclusive boxes that were like, they tried to make them look as different as possible to make sure there was no confusion.
There are new 3DS optimized 3DS games, quite a few of them, in fact.
Okay.
Yeah,
there's not many exclusive ones, was there?
No, like
2 or 3.
if you play Monster Hunter 4 on a new 3DS, it'll run at 60 frames per second instead of 30.
Oh, that's nice.
But it's not exclusive.
Yeah.
Xenoblade is exclusive. You try and put that in a normal 3DS, it won't give you anything. So
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So I also believe I'm gonna go out on a hunch and say this port is basically filler because they've obviously had a lot of delays this year due to the pandemic and all that kind of stuff. So throwing out another Wii U port is probably quite easy for them right now. It's probably going to do well enough, I'm sure. Like, there's plenty of people that never owned a Wii U, and for those people, this is great, honestly.
Yeah.
And I still think they should be cheaper because they kind of take the mick a little bit. But then that is Nintendo. They do that. Buy this game again and again and again. But yeah, I just want to. Now that they've almost got through every Wii U game that can realistically come to the Switch, other than like 3D World and maybe a couple others, I kind of want to. If they are gonna still, bring over some ports, like they do this on all their consoles. There was quite a few Wii ports on the 3DS, for example. But I'd love to see stuff like what was it? Kirby. What was it? Epic Yarn. I'd love to see
Kirby's
that.
Epic Yarn. Oh,
When they announced that 3DS port, I was like, that should be a Switch game. Imagine that in HD. And it's like, nope, here it is, demade for the 3DS, like on a tiny screen. It's like,
I feel like
I don't really want that game on a 3DS. I want it on a Switch.
I feel like Nintendo has this obsession where they feel like Kirby has to be the 3DS game.
Well, it has to be a handheld game. Well, they've got no choice now because the Switch is their main.
Yeah.
So they can't do that anymore. I think that was I think that was technically like one of the last games Nintendo made for the 3DS.
It was,
I think it was the last one they announced anyway. Yeah. I guess that was that. Nintendo, they're continuing this tradition of, instead of giving us a direct, they're just dropping games like that, which I'm kind of okay with. I don't really mind. Like the whole hype train stuff, we kind of went into this in the previous podcast, where, not the last one, but I think the one before that, where we were basically rambled for ages about hype trains and like people's expectations getting way too high for announcements, and like when something comes along as like, here's this Nintendo Direct thing, and people are like, they're going to show everything, and then they don't, and then they get annoyed and dislike the hell out of it, because it didn't show a game that they specifically wanted.
To the point where Nintendo has to clarify not to get your hopes up.
Exactly, yeah. So I feel like this whole just dropping a trailer out of nowhere and going, hey, this is out in 2 bumps is far better, personally. I'm more for this because at least you can. It's self-contained. You haven't got any expectations because you didn't know it was coming at all. So
and being closer to the release for me is always a plus because I can retain that hype.
Exactly. Yeah, that was another thing we went into like a couple podcasts ago, where like when they announced something like Final Fantasy VII, that's cool and all, but it's like, come back in 5 years.
Yeah,
if at all,
you're still excited.
Hope it comes out eventually. Whether it comes out at all is a complete gamble. I think Nintendo learnt from Metroid Prime 4 when they literally showed the logo, maybe not to jump the gun like that again. So I feel like they've been really careful with when they announce things now. They're not going, this is in development. I think the last time they did that was Breath of the Wild 2, and people won't shut the hell up about them showing more of that. So just let them get on with it.
I guess there's no avoiding that for their biggest IPs, like your Mario games and that. It's
for sure, yeah.
But for basically everything else, it's just give me like 2 or 3
Mario and stuff. It's fine. That's that. Right, there's been a few other little bits of PS5 news. There hasn't been tons, but it's kind of trickling out. We still don't have a bloody price for the thing.
Or release date.
I don't know what's going on there. I actually wouldn't be surprised if it delays till early next year at this rate, because they've just been so hush about it. But first thing, apparently your DualShock 4 controllers will be usable on the PS5. But they'll only be playable. You only be able to use them for PS4 games.
Oh, that makes little to no sense.
Yeah, I think the only reason they're probably doing that is because there's going to be stuff in the PS5 controller, like the haptic feedback, that they want you to. They basically want you to use those features, and like maybe some of these games even will have game mechanics that require those features. That's maybe why, but still,
They still should just be a thing on the box.
It's possibly like the Wii U's Pro Controller and the Switch's Pro Controller. They're quite similar.
Oh, yeah. That's one. Yeah, that's exactly the same thing. I basically use my Wii U Pro Controller just for the PC now, because if it worked for the Switch, that would be like my main controller, because I love that bloody controller. It's fantastic. It's got so much battery life. It's really comfortable. I like the fact that the analog sticks are both at the top as opposed to, like the
Xbox style.
That Xbox style. Yeah. Certain games where having them both in the same position, like PlayStation, is a lot more optimal.
That's my preference, yeah.
Yeah. I don't mind it on most games, but it's just certain games. That Rhythm Gamer Super Beat Sonic on the Switch, that pretty much requires to have the sticks in the same line, the same area, because it was made for PlayStation initially and ported to Switch. So that's why I only play that game in touchscreen mode, because if I tried to play it, I tried to play it with buttons and analog sticks, and it was just unplayable. Yeah, so it's a bit of a bummer that, these super expensive controllers, you won't be able to use the ones you already own for anything other than games that you've already played.
What's the betting some third party is going to make an adapter, though?
You could be right on the money there. I'm not sure how they would do that, because they're all wireless, and Sony could easily patch it out if they really want to be dickish, but I don't know.
Well, I think it could be like something that could be done software, i.e. like the Street Fighter 5.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Sony are like, oh no, you have to use PS4 controllers for our games, but I would be surprised if loads of indie developers and third parties are like, no, this game's compatible.
Yeah,
that's true. That's very possible.
Unless it really depends how the backwards compatibility works. If it's kind of like the Wii U's, where it literally boots into a separate console, a separate virtual Wii. If it's like a virtual PS4 within the PS5, then they're going to be separate. I can't see that being kind of like how you can't use the Wii U Pro controller in the Wii mode. You have to use an Wii Classic controller. So you have to swap the controllers, essentially. So I think that might be a hint at how the backwards compatibility works. I don't know, because they haven't really gone into detail with any of that.
I worry about PS4 emulation, backwards compatibility. We've done this dance before with the PS3, especially if you're American and you could actually get one of those easily. Yeah. And it was less than stellar, to put it blunt.
Yes. I remember, I probably mentioned this on the podcast before, but when I had my original giant 60 gig PS3, I played Gitaru Man for the first time on there.
Oh, you poor soul.
Exactly. And I thought that's what the game was like at the time. I was like, this is unplayable. I can't stand it. And I sold it. And now I'm like, why did I sell it? Because I played it on a console that couldn't run it, because it was the input lag rendered it unplayable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, PS1 worked okay, but I should bloody well hope so at this
PS1
point.
Was always perfect on PS3. We could do this dance all day about why haven't they just slapped a PS1 emulator inside the PS4 or the 5.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not hard to do. I think that, even if the games are just digital and you have to buy them again, even that's better than literally nothing.
I do think that was a big dropped ball by Sony there, because I bought a fair few PS1 games digitally.
I did as well. Yeah, I bought quite a few PS2 games as well, especially from the Japanese store, because I actually got quite a few Japanese exclusives that way.
Yes. It's quite neat that way, yeah. And then there was a few games that came out, like PS1, for example, never came out before, like the Ark the Lad trilogy.
Yes.
That's damn expensive, to buy.
Yeah, I had a Japanese account exclusively, so I could pick and choose from their literal, I think they had about 600 different games in the PS1 library in Japan. They had stuff like Harmful Park. They had like Rakugaku Showtime by Treasure. They had all these games that if you wanted to buy a Japanese disc of that game, it would cost you a fortune, but you could get them on the PS3 for like $5 or whatever it was. If that, I think it was like £5, something like that.
Don't tell me they couldn't have done it. Like it would have been so easy to just dump that into like a software update.
Yeah, I know they did try to do like I know they have done PS2 games on the PS4.
Yes.
And they even added like trophies and stuff to them, which is pretty cool. But like, yeah, I don't know. I guess one thing this does go into the other little tidbit I found about the PS5 is apparently this was basically leaked by someone on Twitter, and he ended up deleting the tweet. But apparently there's going to be no per game whitelisting for backwards compatible games.
Right.
So basically, every game you put, any PS4 game you put into the PS5 should run, basically. Because you know how do you remember how the PS TV basically had a list of games that it wouldn't run, even if they could technically run, it just blacklisted them, so you can't play them unless you like hacked it. Like certain theater games. Apparently, the PS5 won't have that, which is good. Yeah.
The only risk is obviously if for some reason there's some catastrophic failure with the emulation that could damage the console, but that seems unlikely.
Yeah, because the way they described the PlayStation 4 backwards compatibility back when Mark Cerny was rambling about it for ages about the technical aspects, he said that they have tested like the top 100 most played games or something like that, and then they were still in the process of testing every game. Obviously there's thousands of games to go through, especially when you count all the digital stuff. There's literally thousands. So yeah, I think it's a case of not everything will have been tested, and if there's anything that does have issues, they'll have to patch it later. But I think that's maybe possibly a better route than how Xbox did it, where you basically they roll out the compatible games over time. Yeah. Can you imagine if they're like the Xbox One, when they like announced like original Xbox games, it just let you put any disc in and you could play them. But I think the reason for that was because in the case of those, it was when you put a disc in for like an Xbox 360 game, you're basically downloading a digital copy of that game from their current store. But that's why they were slowly rolling them out, because they were putting them out on the store, weren't they?
Obviously we don't know fully how PS5 is going to do it. I assume it's not going to be like that though, because
it sounds like it's not going to be that case, because like
they would have to put every game on the cloud or online, and the server costs would be astronomical really for a day one thing. So I think realistically it's just going to play straight off the disc. Whereas it seems to me that the Xbox uses the disc just as like a key,
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if the PS4 and PS5 stores are basically merged, because their stores have always been merged to some extent. Even when they shut down like the PSP store, you can still download PSP games just via the PS3.
Yes.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if like those stores just get merged, and any games that were already available digitally, which is basically all of them, more or less all of them, would be available that way. But yeah, it's still early days to know what the full extent of this is going to be. But at least that sounds promising, if it is indeed.
Yeah, I think we're getting
true.
I think we're getting to the stage where I think game companies, or certainly the console companies, have to think about the longevity of games, like the perishability of games, because it's getting to this point now. We've been online for a little while now with games consoles, and we're getting to the stage where certain games are essentially bricks, after a while.
Yeah.
And we need to think of this like, say, merging consoles, this sort of transition, and maybe not just forgetting that the other consoles existed, because maybe we are getting to the point where we need to turn these consoles into like windows into the history of their systems, and maybe having PS4 and PS3 compatibility. Maybe they'll never go back to PS3, but maybe when there's a PS6, maybe consider the PS4.
Still have 4 and 5, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that is not feasible forever.
No,
but I think we do.
Yeah, it's a bit of a. I feel like Microsoft are going the best way about it with the Xbox Series X. Like they're basically treating it as an upgrade, and they're not even like saying that so far they've made it sound like there's no Series X exclusive games. No, technically there is, because judging by that last conference, they did have a couple games on there that were Xbox Series X and PC. They didn't say Xbox One, because certain games just wouldn't work. You know that. I think it was that horror game where it was like split down the middle, and you've got like the normal character on one side, and then you've got like the other world on the other side. I get the name of it, but it was like some. There's no way that would work on like a current gen system without like an SSD and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, but I feel like Microsoft are going the right way about it. It sounds like they're trying to aim to get every single Xbox One game, excluding like Kinect games, working on Series X, and they're also working on making sure all the. I think that does include all the Xbox 360 and original Xbox stuff that they've already ported to Xbox One. So that's basically their entire history, or the selected games that they can put out available on one console, which is great. Like, that's a good way of doing it.
That's sort of that's the way. I mean, I know we get these remasters, and they are usually very good. Like I'm very much looking forward to the Nocturne one. Something I've kind of been waiting for ages, because whenever they did emulate, like they released it on PSN as a PS2 game, and it didn't work properly.
Yeah.
It was broken. One of the routes was completely broken, and there was a lot of slowdown. So I was very disappointed in that. And it's just we need to get there one day.
It's such a shame we didn't have you about for a couple podcasts ago when we were basically rambling about Nintendo fans basically dislike bombing the all the Shin Megami Tensei stuff because it wasn't what they wanted. It's like, go away, shut up.
I mean, I'm not.
That made lots of people happy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
just not you.
Yeah, it's one of those things. If you're in the Mega 10 community, there is essentially a war going on between, are you a quote unquote hardcore elitist original Mega 10 fan, or are you like weeb Persona fan?
Dirty usually Persona fan.
Dirty casual. I mean, don't get me wrong, you probably, if you're a classic Mega 10 fan, you're probably both, even if they don't admit it. I love me some Persona, but I do think sorry,
go on.
No, I was just saying, I think you do get certain people who only know Persona and they're not really interested in playing the grittier games, and it's a shame. And maybe they got their hopes up in the wrong direction. They are upset that they're not getting games that have traditionally always been on Sony consoles almost exclusively.
I think that in the case of like all the dislike bombs on that Nocturne trailer and stuff like that, it was more a case of people expecting that direct to have like Mario and Zelda and Metroid, blah blah blah. It's just like no, there are other games. Other games exist.
I mean,
we're not going to go into this again because we literally spent like almost an hour basically slagging off Nintendo fans a while back. But
that's fair enough.
I mean, like, I don't blame Nintendo fans for thinking that a Nintendo console is mostly about Nintendo games, because that was the case for a lot of their consoles. But with the Switch, I feel like it has more variety of stuff on it than their systems have had since the Super Nintendo, maybe.
Do you only want first-party games on your system? Like,
I sure as hell don't.
No, I sure as hell don't. I mean,
I love the fact that the Switch has had tons of third-party support and tons of indies and all this like AA stuff and stuff like all these weird Nipponichi games and all this cool stuff. Like, I like
it's great. Yeah, it's exactly what we complained that the Wii U didn't do.
Exactly, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, and I felt the same way about like the GameCube and the N64 as well. It was like it had lots of great Nintendo games, but what else did it have? Like the GameCube didn't have a lot outside of Nintendo's own games.
Yeah, and if you cut Sega out of the equation, it was essentially next to nothing.
Yeah, like with the N64, it was like, if you don't like Rare games, then what is there? Some Midway stuff.
Quest 64.
Doom 64, and that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. So, Nintendo games are coming. they've already been announced. There's quite a lot coming, and more games is good. The more third party is good, just not Bakugan.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was when we were talking about that, I did emphasize the fact that I was mad salt over that, because it was like, oh, a new way, not because it wasn't like Mario or something, it was because they said, oh, it's a new Way Forward game, and it was like, I like Way Forward, their games are cool, they make cool license games, they make cool games like the Mummy Demastered, something like that. I'm not expecting the moon, I'm not expecting some amazing,
it felt like a bait
announcement
switch with that.
Yeah, it really did. Like, especially with how lazy and just cash grab it looked. Like, even just taking away the franchise from it, like completely ignoring the franchise, it just looks so lazy. It just looks so.
It looked like a
Poundland
like we
Pokemon,
threw
wasn't
this,
it?
like pound shop. Like we just shot this. We just shat this out just because we need some money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but whatever. We're getting into this too much again. Right, last bit, which I guess could sort of be the last thing we talk about, I suppose, is I don't know if you remember, I think it was sometime, I'm trying to remember if we did talk about it on the podcast, it must have been a couple of years ago now, but I remember there was a thing where Sega released a version of Football Manager for the PC that came in like eco-friendly, in like an eco-friendly box, like cardboard sleeve instead of like a plastic case, and like the manual, it was all like biodegradable materials and stuff like that. Well, there's another case of this happening with I Am 8-Bit. I know that people have a lot of issues with I Am 8-Bit, and I've never technically used them myself, but like I know they've got a bit of a reputation for kind of sloppy releases sometimes with some of the limited editions, but just not thinking about that right a minute, but basically they've revealed that they're going to start doing sort of eco-friendly editions of like the games they release. So I think the first one they're using as an example is Untitled Goose Game.
Yes.
So they're putting out what they call a lovely edition, and it comes in like a cardboard. It's basically, they said they've been experimenting with this for like the last year or something like that, like trying to get it to the point where it's the right kind of materials to make it biodegradable and make it eco-friendly, but they also want to make sure it's good enough to actually stand the test of time, like the cardboard is strong enough and it sits on your shelf without getting crushed. Like how old Super Nintendo boxes, they just seem to fall apart over the years,
or just
they get crushed, or
just any like old Nintendo game.
It's like stuck in moisture and fall to pieces.
Yeah,
almost.
Yeah, or if they're like too tightly packed on the shelf, they just eventually squash and all that kind of stuff. But they're promising with this. They're basically releasing a PlayStation 4 version of Untitled Goose Game physically, and it's going to be, in this new cardboard that they've been basically testing for the last year to make sure it's strong enough to withstand like being next to and look as good as like the plastic case ones.
Well, according to their website, the Switch version will be as well.
Oh, okay. Well, what I looked up, it was only the Switch one, the PS4 one. But that's interesting. I didn't know they were doing Switch as well. But to give an extent of how far they're going with this, even the plastic that it's sealed in will be like some kind of eco-friendly shrink wrap.
Okay, cool.
Apparently, it's something called like biolefin or something like that. Biolefin, but it's like some kind of like special shrink wrap that's not supposed to just be a pain in the ass to get rid of and basically just end up in a landfill. I mean, they could do better than that and just not shrink wrap it, but I'm not really sure why they have to shrink wrap it, but whatever. At least they're trying to come up with a shrink wrap that's better.
I mean, there may be some kind of like laws that we're not aware of with regards to that. I can't imagine it, but possibly.
Yeah, maybe. And then they've got like, for example, with the Untitled Goose Game edition, it's got like a little manual with like a guide, and it's got like a little map. And apparently, these are all done using paper that is from wood that only comes from the most well-managed and environmentally responsible forests. Whatever that means. Like they've actually got like links to the specific like forests that these trees are grown in, or something that. And then it even comes with a sticker that's made from sugarcane waste.
Yep.
And they're like, sounds tasty, but don't eat it, please.
Yeah, you could
so
say
they've even
that...
gone to the extent of like even the sticker is like this. So
someone's going to eat it live on stream.
Someone's going to
I'll
eat
do
it for Twitch subscriptions. They're going to do
Yeah.
that. So yeah, this is apparently the first of apparently many games that they're going to offer this as an option. I don't know if it's like fully replacing what they do or if it's just an experiment at the moment, but
I just love that what they've called it, the lovely edition.
Lovely edition.
It's lovely.
Lovely.
Except geese are not lovely.
Yeah, there's nothing lovely about this goose.
But
yeah.
So what? People are up in arms about this.
Well, not so. Nah, when I was talking about people being up in arms about I Am 8-Bit, that's just them in general having certain like additions, like for example, people bought vinyl records from them and they literally got chips in them and all this kind of stuff.
The one,
the Zavvi of limited run games.
Kinda, yeah.
Mind you, you got me the is that an 8-bit one? It's the Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle soundtrack.
That is actually designed by that is actually made by I Am 8-Bit, but they actually sold that in
shops
in HMV, I think.
Yeah,
that's where I got it. But yeah, yeah. I mean, I've never, outside of that album, I've never really bought any of their collector's editions because they're usually quite expensive. But yeah, no, I think what people are kind of questioning with this whole thing is like, if you have to go to all this extent to make a, eco-friendly physical edition, why do physical at all? Just go digital. Just keep the game digital. It's like,
I don't really. Yeah, I mean,
at least they're trying.
I mean,
like,
it's a compromise because
it is. It's a compromise because, like, physical games, people like not everyone, but certain people like physical games. Like, I like physical games. I like having the game permanently. I like it that. Well, I especially like it when the whole game is on the actual disc or on the cartridge. In the case of some Switch games, it's like, oh, most of the game you have to download. It's like, nope, that's rubbish. That's not good enough because I might lose that data sometime, and then the servers will go down, and then
what we just talked about essentially.
Yeah, basically, like the whole game's not there. Like it's like preservation. Yeah, it's physical games are a good way of. Yeah, they're not going to last forever, but then neither's digital stuff. And also, there's just a bit of a funny argument going on places about, like, physical versions are kind of pointless now that we have digital data and streaming and downloading games. But at the same time, streaming games, especially stuff like Stadia, they have to use these big supercomputers to run all that stuff. That's not environmentally friendly in a different way. They're not making loads of plastic and paper, but they're also doing other. It's all other stuff.
Running servers.
Essentially fossil fuels.
Fossil fuels. Yeah,
there's no fully escaping it. Not to say that we shouldn't try and be eco-friendly. We certainly should. That's why I kind of advocate for this move.
From what I've seen, it looks pretty cool to me. Like
with a cursory look, I don't really see what the problem is.
No.
It's just one of those sort of like, if you can't do it perfectly, don't bother. And it's like, well, trying is better than doing nothing. So
exactly, yeah, absolutely.
I like owning physical games myself because one day, something to look at. Even though I do run out of space, it's. I don't know. I just like Stadia. Stadia's not going to be around forever.
Considering it's by Google, it's probably not going to be around for much longer at all. Let's be honest. Exactly. Like a couple of years from now, they might just drop it.
Yeah, it would have been nice.
And then all those games that you purchased for it would just be gone, I guess.
Exactly. It's like it's a little bit different with like Steam, though obviously it remains to be seen what could happen to Steam one day. What if
it's still essentially a license? You don't fully own those games. You are essentially, you just have a license to play that game and download it to your computer. But it's not. Yeah, the better solution for PC games is probably DRM free.
Yeah, DRM free.
Yeah, because you have the actual source files and you own it. You just straight up own it. You can do whatever you like with it.
But like, say if one day Steam did decide that they were just going to pack this whole thing in.
Yeah,
they're literally not going to last forever.
No,
they can't last forever.
No, exactly.
Steam's not going to be around in. I would say they might still be around in 10 years, but I can't see them being around in 20. It really depends how things go with like old. You know, it's
you know, at very least, like say 50 years as an absolute. Like limit. It's, you know, we've spent.
How long's Steam been around now? It's 2000.
At least 10, isn't it?
Well, they've truly been around, I think, since Counter-Strike, but it was not in the same storefront kind of sense.
Yeah, they just started as like an app to boot their games up, and then eventually they allowed third parties in, and that's when it all blew up. Yeah,
exactly. So it's you know, Steam does feel safer, at least like in the short term, you know. But the games consoles have been anything but. It's every 5 years you pretty much can kiss those games goodbye. You know,
in some cases,
Say 10 if you want to talk about when the servers have gone down completely. Like the PSP, you can get games on PSP. There's a lot of faff, and let's be honest, PS3 servers aren't going to be up forever. You know, and then that is kind of it. You know.
Yep.
So
there's been so many casualties, especially like the 360 PS3 era. We've already had so many games get delisted, and unless you already have them downloaded onto your console and your hard drive stays alive, Scott Pilgrim. There was like stuff like X-Men and The Simpsons from Konami. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is another one that got completely delisted in every shape or form. You can't even get the DLC for that anymore.
Yeah. And then you've got games that used to run on servers, like some of the Just Dance games. You can't even like get all the trophies anymore because they relied on the online stuff, and that just does not load at all now.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember when I had I bought on the Xbox 360. I bought Double Dragon, the original arcade version. The license changed hands, and they just took it away from me. They didn't even say, "Oh, if you've got it downloaded, it's fine." They literally just took it away from me.
Seriously?
And they didn't give me a refund or anything. And when the new license holder rule was in place, they didn't give me the game back either. It was just that was it. I was just like,
know they could do that. That's
so it's very scummy. And it's just like, it's very fragile. This digital only thing, you know. It's
exactly. There's pluses to it, but there's a lot of minuses as well.
I mean, I'd say in PC it's a lot safer, especially with DRM free. If you've got stuff on GOG, even if GOG goes under, there are people who have created, people created these archives of these files, so you will find them again. You know, but that's
probably
not
the safest way to own digital games at this moment. Like that's pretty much stuff like itch.io and all that.
Yeah, the sad irony with regards to PSP is it's more likely that your PSP is going to break before the servers go down. So
that was all. It's kind of old news now, but basically, Japanese Twitter was lighting up a few weeks ago over the fact that all their PSP batteries are starting to bloat, and I was like, "Yep, that happened to mine ages ago. My PSP is completely useless."
Yeah, I mean, my PSP got another issue, and it was a completely weird one where basically the screen would sort of bleach around the sides, and it would slowly creep closer to the center.
Oh, Jesus.
And I've essentially got this weird, slightly lighter part of the screen that just circles the entire screen, and it was very off-putting. It kind of put me off playing PSP.
Yeah, I bet.
So you know, I'll probably have to get a second-hand one and mod it or something.
Yeah, that's the whole thing with like preservation of like old games and even recent games. Like even they need to be preserved in as many ways as you can because things go funny. I just thought this would be sort of like a main topic. I left this one till last because of stuff like that. You know, things like the PSP consoles. It looks like even if you go out of your way to buy a brand new like third-party battery to replace in your PSP, those might be bloated as well. Like brand new ones. It's like, so does that mean PSPs are just done? Like, unless someone makes a brand new one that doesn't do that over the years, I don't know how.
I mean, there's no reason that someone couldn't theoretically make their own lithium-ion battery.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, if you get like phones, like my phone, you can take out the battery on it, and there are loads of third-party batteries that are essentially new for it. That might be an option. I don't know how.
I think we'll get to that point. I think we will get to the point where there's like, kind of like what you get with like old consoles, like the Dreamcast, where like people are putting in replacement plugs and stuff. You know, it's possible.
Yeah, there's a niche market for these sort of aftermarket changes to these systems who kind of needed it in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Like, these consoles ain't gonna last forever. They're
like the caps on your.
Yeah, I'm still waiting back on that. Basically, the guy that's got it, he's had to buy one of the chips that basically got leaked on, but he said it only cost a few pence, but he's just waiting for that to arrive, and then he's going
that's nice
to reinstall that. Yeah. But yeah, these are, not even just talking about the games on like digital stores, but like the actual consoles are eventually gonna collapse, and it's only because of things like, gutting out the disk drive and putting in a hard drive or a SD card slot to play games on like your Dreamcast or your Saturn or whatever, or like drives and all that kind of stuff.
And FPGAs on the more expensive side of it.
I'm still seriously considering one of those misters, like, to play old computer games, especially like Amiga stuff. I feel like that's probably the route to go at this point, because it's basically, it's better than software emulation, but it's also just a really nice way of having it in a little case. And I
mean,
I might invest in that one day.
Like I say, we've probably talked about this before, but it's just like, it's not like movies, it's not like books and stuff where putting it into a new medium is as simple as just copying it to that medium, So you've got VHS, you literally just copy the image onto a CD, and you've got it on DVD, or with a book, you just print it on a new piece of paper or on an ebook.
Yeah,
it's not like that way with games. Is just infinitely more complicated and nuanced, and
especially if they use unique controllers or anything like that.
Yeah, or just hardware and architecture that just doesn't exist anymore.
Exactly.
It's kind of on the console developers to fill that gap, lest fans do it for them. Which,
I mean, it's exactly why you haven't seen PS3 Backwards Compatibility, because it had such an awkward architecture that is hard to replicate without straight up just putting an emotion engine in the PS4. They couldn't.
That's why we don't have many Saturn games being ported either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's a kind of a death knell, really.
Yeah.
To the longevity of the system, which is really sad,
Yeah, especially when some companies like Sega lose the bloody source code.
Yes. Yes.
But it's a good thing Nintendo keeps all their source code, isn't it? Now we know that. It's a good thing they hold on to all of it and don't at all give it to some Chinese company that will end up getting it stolen.
Complete with really creepy Yoshi sprites.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you should go back to last week's podcast. That was a riot. So, they had all the pictures up. I don't think there was any updates with any of that stuff based on what we saw, what we talked about last time. There's a couple of little things. I don't think there's been any more like big leaks. I'll just have a quick look.
Have a quick gander.
I'm just wondering if they're just like saving like some bits and pieces. Like, here you go. Here's a whole another batch of
drip feeding into us.
Yeah.
Because as
I know it does take a while to.
With that leak, they've apparently only shown us 100 gig out of 2 terabytes.
Whoa.
Yeah. Because as you can imagine, that leak. Basically, they stole that content back in 2016, so they might have source files to games going all the way up to 2016. So the size of the games is going to balloon as soon as you get to like GameCube, Wii, maybe even Wii U. There might be some Wii U stuff in there, and that's the point where it's going to get really dodgy. because there's stuff in there that's probably still current, like source code to games that they're releasing now on the Switch, like Pikmin 3. You know, it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, just give me that mother free N64.
Yes, we're still waiting on that. We're still waiting on that.
I know you have it.
It still hasn't happened. But I know there's been a couple things like they've been going through. They did find like an early demo, like beta build of Animal Crossing. They actually found some human characters, like a bunch of different human characters, like presumably before they were made into animals at some point.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. You're the only animal in that world, human rather.
Yeah. That because there's literally characters they found in the source code to this prototype that are they're like human equivalents of characters that are animals in the final game. So
maybe they thought it looked too much like Tulip if they were all human.
Yeah, maybe. Just go around kissing everyone. I don't think there's been a huge amount of stuff involving the Nintendo leak other than just the odd little discovery. I know there was, because I know it was rumoured for the longest time that Link's Awakening was originally planned to be a demake of Link to the Past. They have actually found demade maps of Link to the Past now.
I mean, I'm glad it turned out the way it did. You know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm glad they went with an original game and didn't just pull the SNES game over.
Being that's like my favourite Zelda game, so I'm very glad for that.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it's nice to see. I would love to see like how that looks.
Yeah, I think look around. There are just full maps. Like I think they pretty much recreated almost all the maps from Link to the Past in the Game Boy.
Oh, nice.
They're actually out there now, so you can see those.
Just wait for the fan hacks to actually make it using those assets now.
Yeah. Yeah, actually make a little Link to the Past Game Boy edition. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Pretty much wrap up there, I think. In conclusion, with the whole like eco-friendly stuff, that's good if they can do that. I think I'm actually kind of surprised that they haven't done that with the next gen boxes already. Like it seems like they're just using what they've already got. The PS5 boxes are basically PS4 boxes, but a different color. The Xbox cases seem to be exactly the same as well. So I don't think they're going to be changing that anytime soon. I've always preferred like in the past. I've always preferred, for example, like Mega Drive boxes to Super Nintendo boxes. But
because they last.
Yeah, because they last. But at the same time, if they can make the cardboard versions robust enough that they stand the test of time, then go for it.
Yeah, it can't hurt to try.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just don't do what they did back in the early Saturn cases, where they basically took a bit of cardboard and glued it to some plastic.
Oh God,
don't do that again. That was awful.
Yeah.
That was like the worst of both worlds, because you get this horrible cardboard that like gets damaged by stickers and water and everything on the front.
Just flattens itself as well, doesn't it? It just sort of comes complex.
I actually found my Daytona USA box earlier today, it's survived because I've been keeping it in a box in my garage. But it's certainly not the most ideal way of packaging the disc.
Yeah, I mean, they did later on. They did just put them in like proper sleeved like cases, but
I mean, by far my least favourite kind of case is probably the PAL Dreamcast cases.
Oh, yeah.
Those are absolute garbage. I barely even have any PAL Dreamcast games anymore. Almost all of my games are either American or Japanese, exclusively because of the horrible cases.
I mean, they look cool, but
they do look cool, yeah.
Yeah, but I've never seen such a horribly engineered case, you know?
Yeah, they so much just like breathe on and it just shatters.
Yes.
It's just dreadful. Like, the only ones of those I've got that got really nice cases are games that I bought that were essentially new when I got them. Like, they were still sealed, so they look absolutely... Yeah, they look beautiful, and as long as I handle them carefully and don't just leave them lying around, they're fine. And they look really nice, but yeah, otherwise I wouldn't touch them.
No.
If you buy second-hand ones, you can almost guarantee the hinges are gone, all the little things that hold the discs in are gone. Everything's gone. It's just horrible.
And sorry.
Go on.
No, I was to say with GBA, your mileage varies. I think it depending on the publisher. I mean, Capcom were notoriously bad for their cases. They were made out of a really cheap sort of card. If you ever touched any of the Mega Man Zero.
What Game Boy Advance boxes?
Game Boy Advances, yeah.
They varied.
Yeah, they varied. But I don't know how that worked out, but yeah, it seemed like all the Mega Man games were made really poor quality, and like the sleeve was kind of glued on the inside of the case as opposed to being something you pull out as a tray. So it was. They were very awkward and they were very cheap and shit. So yeah.
I think the other thing I've seen some people saying about, like for example, these IM8-bit lovely editions is like people are not generally going to buy these things and then eventually throw them away. They're either going to sell them to someone else or they're going to keep them as long as they exist, I guess. Like as long as that person's alive, I don't know. Like,
I mean, hypothetically, that's the case, and yeah, I do agree from that point of view. It's kind of a gesture that's nice, but I wonder how much mileage it's going to get. You know?
Yeah, I mean, if they can find a way to make it like a system where they can easily just pump out games like that. You know, like,
sure.
I can see PC games like when Sega did that one a few years ago for Football Manager. I just thought, yeah, you may as well just do that with all of them because like. PC games are always in cardboard boxes originally, just much bigger ones.
Yeah, and they're usually just codes in a box, so that you probably will chuck it away afterwards. So, you know.
Yeah, if they can make it some kind of like cardboard thing with those, that's fine. Like, also, I just think they should make the cases smaller. Like, I don't understand why we had to go the route of making cases that are bigger than the disc itself. Like, what's wrong with CD case sized? cases?
Dual
like,
cases.
Yeah, you know, like the 3DS size cases, what's wrong with that size? And in the case of like Switch games, you could literally put those in teeny weeny little boxes. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to see them on the shelf, but like, they don't need to be as big as they are.
They should have been. They should have like created a parity with the 3DS, in my opinion. You know, they should have been like 3DS boxes. Same dimensions at very least. You know, and I do agree with dual cases on stuff like Blu-rays and CDs and DVDs because that's the standard. You know, you're just making it awkward otherwise.
Yeah. Also, one way the console developers could probably help in a small way would be to make it so all their consoles just use see-through cases and don't have uniquely coloured cases.
Yeah.
Because that would save on a lot of stuff as well.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. In small amounts, but in the long run.
Yeah, just little things. You know, little things help. Because plastic's a pain in the arse and you can't get rid of it, and it turns into plastic atoms and gets in the sea, and it's nasty business. It's like it's literally almost nigh on impossible to get rid of.
It's nasty for everything.
Yeah.
If you don't recycle
things do need to be done about it, basically. We can't just keep pumping out plastic for no reason. There's so many things that get packaged in blister packaging, and I'm like, why are you doing this? You don't have to do this.
Well, I mean, I don't know why they don't make the boxes out of recycled material. Materia.
Recycled. Sounds like something out of an RPG.
Final Fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
Recycled
materia.
Like manga, when it releases in Japan, they use recycled paper for it. You know, it just stands to reason to do that with the cartridges. You know, not just the boxes even. Because at least
I think in the case of like when, for example, Xbox uses green cases and PlayStation uses blue ones and all that kind of stuff, it's like it would be a lot easier to recycle that stuff if it was all the same color, basically.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Or has just no colouring in it whatsoever, I guess.
Same. It's like with the Wii U ones as well, where they were like cyan.
Yeah, I never understood that branding for the Wii U at all. Like, why did they go with cyan? Like, they should have just stuck with white like they had for the Wii. It worked. Like, the Wii branding was really nice, and then they just went with this strange cyan blue with a streak of yellow. It just looked awful.
Blue was never synonymous with Nintendo to me. You know?
It's like
I thought it was red, but
yeah, exactly. Red's Nintendo. I think what they got now makes more sense.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know.
Going back to how many missteps there were with the Wii U, I think that was one of them. Was the fact that the boxes were just so ugly. I feel like that baby blue just clashed with almost every box art. There's only certain box arts that you worked with.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, the white was kind of neutral, so they could get away with it.
Yeah, the white is very neutral. Still a little bit. I'm still not sure what to think of like the PS5, like stark black and white that they're using.
Yeah,
but it might grow on me. I don't know.
Hey, I mean, I guess it goes with the design of the system itself.
Yeah, exactly. I think they should have maybe gone white and blue. So like they've got like a dark blue for the font and that, but whatever. That's just graphic design at this point. We're not even talking about recyclable. We're just talking about general graphic design here. But yeah, yeah. I think that's a good place to wrap up, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I found a few little interesting things to talk about, despite there not being as much as like last week when we literally didn't have the time to explain everything because there was so much with that Nintendo leak. It was just insane.
It's nice to ramble sometimes, isn't it? So
yeah. So yeah, we'll be back. As I say, we're still trying to keep these things weekly. I don't think we actually had anyone watching live today, but that's fine because they can watch it later. That's fine. I still want to try and keep these things weekly. I know I haven't really been doing any live streams for the last week or so. We might be doing a couple more soon because I basically wrapped up the thing that was keeping me busy. I've still got some other stuff to work on, but otherwise, and obviously I'm back to work as well. So
life's just got a bit busier for everyone now.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of out of like that big like space of time where we had unlimited time to just do stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. Unless a local lockdown happens, I don't know.
Yeah. Hopefully that won't be the case.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, I'd rather that didn't happen, to be honest. Yeah. So, I've been the Gagaman.
I've been CherryT.
I've been ShelvedGamer.
I've been Hunk Thunder.
And this has been the Lucky Hit Podcast, number 82. I'm liking these big numbers. I like
we're getting
the big numbers.
Getting close to 3 figure.
I can't believe we started this year on 65?
Whoa.
And we're already up to 82. That's crazy.
We're going to crack 100. It's going to happen.
Oh, easy, yeah. I think this might actually be maybe the most we've done. Well, it's not the most we've done in a year, because obviously the first couple of years we were literally doing them almost every week. But we have managed to keep this going weekly, and even if nothing else is coming out on the channel for a whole week, I'd still like to make sure these are happening.
Yep, I'd like to do that too.
Yeah, because bare minimum.
Right, at the end of August, the second part of the Pokemon Sword and Shield DLC should be coming out.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to mention that during we were talking about Pokemon. That's just around the corner, isn't it?
Soon, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so we'll definitely be streaming that. I would like to get back into Spelunky. I've just taken a little break from that. I think I'll get a bit burnt out with it. I think it was pretty evident if you watched the last episode. I was getting pretty burnt out and a bit fed up with it. It's just just died again in a really stupid way. Great. So I'm not getting anywhere. Yay! But I'll get back to that soon. There's another stream idea I want to do. I guess I literally just gave an outro, but I'm just going to throw this in. I've been doing another one of them little Excel spreadsheets where I try and figure out all the games I own on a certain thing, and this time it was Steam. Ooh, how many games do I own? How many of them have I played? How much did I pay for them? And I basically listed it all down. And I own about 230 games, and 110 of them I haven't played at all.
I don't even know how you check that.
It took a lot of work. Basically, you can go into Steam's your Steam account, and you can look at every game that you've ever like put onto your account, and it will tell you whether you purchased it from them or if it was a gift or if it was purchased retail, so from somewhere else like Humble Bundle. And I was just going through all my old emails and figuring out how much I paid for everything. So yeah, I'm thinking of doing a live stream series where I basically just try to muscle through my backlog.
Oh.
Yeah, like just grab some random games and just play them on stream, just as an excuse to finally play them. Because in the case of Steam, like most of the games are either free or cost next to nothing. Like I spent barely anything on my Steam library actually. Considering I've had it since 2012, I actually haven't spent much money at all in the grand scheme of things. I've got 200 odd games, but I only spent about £300.
That's one statistic Steam will never let you look at.
Yeah, how much you spent, I had to add that all up based on like emails from Humble Bundle and all that kind of stuff. It took a while, but yeah. Basically, most of those games barely cost me anything, if anything at all, because they literally throw games at you half the time. That's why I got such a big backlog. But yeah, I'm thinking of just... It's going to be a little bit tricky because I can't install... Because what I'd like to do is make it so the games are random, but I can't install everything, and I don't really want to install games while I'm streaming. So, I'll have to figure out a format for that. I haven't got a name for it yet, but I'm thinking of something like muscle through the Steam backlog or something. I don't know. So that's just another little idea that might come up soon-ish. I don't know. And if I finally get if my Amiga gets fixed up, I still want to do those Amiga streams as well. So we'll see how that all goes. But yeah, thanks for listening. If you've been listening, if you're listening either live or not live, whatever, either way, thanks for listening. And we'll be back again sometime next week. I know we've been a little bit weird with like what days these are on, and they're a bit last minute. But that's just how things are at the moment. Yeah, exactly. We can't really consistently do this on Mondays now because I might be working on Monday.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, any of us might be working on Monday. So, and hopefully next time we will be back, and Elk will be back. I should imagine his pal should be back.
Hopefully, pal's back with it.
I'll be very worried if not. So, take care, everyone.
Bye.
See you later.
See you soon. Yeah.